get a sense in episode 1 of this world that's visceral, raw, dangerous, and we learn all that in the first 5 minutes with the discovery of a brutal murder. Nothing in The Alienist is what it seems.
And action.
We start through the streets of New York. In that journey, we get to see the landscape that the rest of the story is going to play out over 10 hours.
I need you to fetch Mr. Moore. And tell him I need details.
John Moore has been asked by Laszlo Chrysler to draw this dead child who's been murdered on the Williamsburg Bridge. He doesn't really understand why he's there, but he does the drawing. It's not John Moore's life. John Moore likes to have the entitled experience of going to the theater and drinking and maybe going to the odd brothel, and all of a sudden he's been confronted by death and murder. He's slowly pulled into this dark world of crime and investigation.
We see quite a lot of angry police faces just at the very presence of Chrysler. They resent him being in that building, but we don't yet know why. So many of our key relationships are set up in that police station.
John Moore.
Hello.
We meet Sarah for the first time, and she is as arrogant as Chrysler is. You learn you will not be dismissive of Sarah, because she won't let you.
We've come to see the commissioner. Sarah and I
am Miss Howard, an employee of the New York Police Department. You will please accord me the respect that my position demands.
I really put a lot of importance on that scene because it sets up the tone for the rest of the show, and she meets Chrysler for the first time. So it's a lot of really important things all in this one moment.
I've read your work. I found it fascinating. Most of it.
I think right away Chrysler realizes that he is meeting a woman who is a perfect ally, a woman who can deliver us information, who has high ambitions than just being a secretary in Roosevelt's office.
Teddy Roosevelt in our story is much different than the icon that is on Mount Rushmore. In this story, he's really struggling with the corruption in the police department.
A child is dead. A child exploited by you and your brothel. I want Paris Assault shut down.
Shut down?
You have until 6 o'clock today.
It's not until you get to the final scene that you realize the level of passion at which Chrysler's willing to run and face this killer. He chases into that building knowing that it's the beginning of an extraordinary adventure. The killer leaves Chrysler a message, and as far as Chrysler's concerned, the game is on. Because the killer has reached out to Chrysler.
I must follow this wherever it goes, even if it leads me to the darkest pit of hell.
In this episode, Moore and Sarah take us into the Italian immigrant community. In meeting the Santorellis, we learn that other boys have been murdered, and the police are trying to cover it up. That means there is a serial killer, and that's a massive clue for our team.
A toast to the beginning of a fruitful partnership. I believe it's best to get a running start.
Perhaps you could tell us what exactly we're getting a running start at.
Shooting the first scene in Delmonicus. For the first time, the team comes together. Chrysler is clever enough to surround himself with progressive minds to help him in finding the murderer.
And we get to see Sarah in the world as opposed to Sarah in the workplace.
Gentlemen, there is a lady present.
Oh, enough, John.
Chrysler has to encourage a group of people to work with him. He's the worst person to do that.
The dynamics of this are Chrysler and Moore and Sarah, who he's borrowed from Roosevelt, and then two Jewish detectives who are not particularly liked at the police department and who are very modern in their approach to investigating.
Dactyloscopy, the science of a finger, palm, or foot leaving a chance impression.
There's a hunger to solve this crime, but we don't really get any sense that this group of people are going to work well together.
And what is my role to be in all of this?
Perhaps you've already played it.
John decides in his inebriated state to slip through the back streets and find that brothel.
Are you coming with us?
I'd prefer to walk.
At this hour?
I'm not a child.
Moore wants to see if he can find out information and to prove to Chrysler that he's more than just a highly functioning alcoholic who's an illustrator for the New York Times. I want to know about Giorgio Santorelli.
When we enter the brothel, we made a very deliberate decision to show the world through Moore's eyes.
I mean, I've never experienced anything quite like it, and to walk into somewhere like that and see, child prostitution and the life of these children.
A very powerful scene to play.
Exploring the thematics of youth and childhood, and especially innocence, was key to me. I think that's why we've put a lot of efforts in all the boys, give them backstories, understand their characters that are treated as victims, but together also are very strong and dangerous.
Our characters are fighting for them to be recognized as children who deserve answers and who deserve justice.
It's a real key in how the story is going to be told and really help the audience know the level and the attitude visually, viscerally, and emotionally. Moore finds himself in a very vulnerable situation and no telling what happens next. In this episode, the team are hungry to find the killer, but they have very little to go on, which really gives us an opportunity to see the relationships between them. We get to see Moore's attraction to Sarah, and we get to see how Chrysler provokes the team around him.
One thing that John has that Laszlo doesn't, he has a humanity about him. Laszlo shuts himself off so that he can objectively be the psychologist.
Miss Howard, how did you cope with your father's suicide?
When Chrysler is prodding Sarah to reveal what she doesn't want to reveal, we see how far this investigation is affecting him.
Sarah, that does not require a response.
Miss Howard, if she wants to be of aid here, must confront her feelings.
Chrysler is a very cerebral, deep-thinking, academic creature who's able to detach himself from the team. Moore believes there is a heart inside that harsh German psychologist.
One of my favorite scenes I've shot was the relationship between Chrysler and his mute mate, Mary. Chrysler has a withered arm. He's so frustrated that he can't take his shirt off. But then there's Mary that enters the scene and actually can calm him down.
I think we can assume that Chrysler didn't have any experience with women. So when we see him with Mary, he's like a teenager. His intellectual power is gone, and he's just a very vulnerable and fragile man.
Dr. Chrysler, there's been another one.
In true Alienist style, he's not allowed to experience that feeling for too long because another body is found.
I've already instructed the dispatcher at headquarters to hold back the information for 1 hour.
If you can hold it back for 1 hour, you can hold it for 3.
If everyone found out that an alienist, a woman, 2 Jewish detectives, all were working together, there'd be a lot of judgment, and it wouldn't allow the case to progress.
Captain Connor, good thing you finally arrived.
Roosevelt buys them that time to work together. Watching them react to a body for the first time is massive in their development and the series. We get Sarah standing in a pool of blood. We get a sense of Moore lost, trying to find his place within this group.
We now have 2 young detectives who have this newfangled contraption.
Ready.
Which seems to take an image of something much more accurate than his drawings. Moore doesn't like that.
The police! They're here!
One more.
Chrysler, I don't think has ever worked as a team member.
We have to go now.
We get to see his lack of patience.
That fingerprint could prove invaluable.
And that's because he's faced his first real failing.
Please, come on.
With motivating that team and working with them, we get a sense that they might not last as a group.
Commissioner Roosevelt! Commissioner Roosevelt!
This episode's important because another child's been murdered, and the people of New York have found out about it. There's definitely a serial killer at large, and he's going to keep killing unless they stop him. The level of pressure on our team goes up 50 notches.
One of my favorite scenes is Chrysler with Sarah in the park. He's asking her if she can't empathize with somebody who kills.
The young woman saw fit to submerge both her children in a bathtub until they were drowned.
Chrysler's a very manipulative person. He uses the people around him for his purposes.
Mary's relationship with Chrysler is a complex one because her mind is her escape, yet her prison. There's a lot going on through the eyes. Mary starts to see that Chrysler's spending a lot of time with Sarah. He is taking her opinions into account. I think it's a very painful situation for Mary because that's something she will never be able to do with Chrysler herself. And Mary is in love with Dr. Chrysler.
I'm afraid the good doctor's callous nature can sometimes upset the ones who care about him the most. Put on your best dress. I'm taking you out.
Moore takes her into an environment that's alive with theater, with laughter, with emotion, everything that New York has to offer. James Hawes, the director of this episode, used our backlot set and other beautiful locations that Budapest had to offer. The theater where the Vitascope is being shown is like stepping back in time. Seeing the audience's emotional response to a wave just shows you the childlike wonder of new technology. Ellen, our amazing prop master, handmade that Vitascope. New technology is a big part of the series. Moore allows us to see a joy in Mary. It results in Chrysler being really jealous of Moore.
Where have you been?
To see Edison's Vitascope.
You took Mary.
Moore knows that as much as there's this cold, sort of analytical demeanor about Laszlo, there is something more to him. I believe you're jealous.
Underneath it all, Chrysler is a very vulnerable and fragile person, and he doesn't want to admit it.
Were you jealous when Julia left you for another man?
Why must you push away those who care for you?
I think the pivotal scene in this episode is when the killer manipulates our gang to come together, and they don't know why.
Tell me your purpose in meeting.
I've not asked you here. You asked me.
He plays them. He sends them a message that brings them all together.
You mean he asked me to come?
He asked all of us.
It suggests that the violence that's carried out on these boys may be carried out on them.
He's watching us.
In this episode, we really get to see that The Alienist is primarily a story about characters' relationship to their childhood and to their parents. They didn't understand what made them the way they are.
Had a woman been dominant in his life at any point, we wouldn't even be here. These crimes would never have happened.
Chrysler visits the youngest person to be convicted for manslaughter. Chrysler feels confident that in questioning Pomeroy, he'll get another clue.
You really think I killed those kids because my mother never kissed my ugly face?
He comes face to face with a killer who looks him in the eye and gives him nothing.
Perhaps I don't know as much as I think I do.
He's got to rethink his theories in order to push forward.
I now find myself in circumstances where I only see what I see.
Chrysler's very cocky and very arrogant, but when Chrysler is dismantled, he can no longer keep up that facade. Chrysler becomes a very vulnerable and fragile person. By that knowledge, he can understand the murderer's motive better.
Roosevelt, in our story, he's struggling a lot with the corruption in the police department.
Hello, Theodore.
He's trying to clean up New York City, but Mayor Strong has a way of doing things.
There's been suspicion cast on a member of a certain family.
The mayor has every bit of evidence to believe that this member of high society, Van Bergen, is doing it, and the elite of New York can't have that.
What would you have me do?
Let the family take care of it.
I want you to discreetly find the whereabouts of Willem Van Bergen. Excuse me, madam.
This is not the right place, Commissioner.
The police have no interest or intention in helping Roosevelt. They do not want one of the most powerful families in America accused of a crime.
You're going to regret this, Mr. Roosevelt.
We get a real sense that Roosevelt may be floundering, while Chrysler looks elsewhere for answers to finding this killer.
He's following the Christian calendar.
The next holiday is the 14th of May, the Feast of the Ascension.
In this episode, our team believe they can catch the killer. The pivotal part is the stakeout. Our team believe they're going to come face to face with him, but they haven't got a clue what he looks like. So Moore, Cyrus, and the Isaacsons, they're up there on the rooftops watching the street, and Chrysler is waiting to be the orchestrator of whatever happens next.
I've been assured that the young man in question no longer poses a threat to the children of the city.
J.P. Morgan controls the wealth and the politics of the time, and that is being impinged upon by Chrysler in his investigation.
Do not betray your own kind, Roosevelt, or you'll find yourself with no goddamn future.
The police have every bit of evidence to lead them to this member of high society, Van Bergen, and because it's someone wealthy, they do not want one of the most powerful families in America accused of a crime. They are trying to take Van Bergen away from New York to protect him, but this plan failed.
Dirty sodomite! You cannot talk to me like that! I'm a Van Bergen! You're a nobody!
As the investigation starts to build and the stakes get higher and higher, emotions flare up in different ways.
Chrysler said his arm was malformed, a congenital defect.
Yes, that's how he's always described it.
Then he was always lying.
Sarah's learning, and you see her start to become a detective.
What happened to your arm, Doctor?
That is no concern of yours.
Sarah investigates and realizes that I'm very tormented and a very troubled man.
Why can't you do what you yourself demand of others and be honest? It comes to a head in this very childish, physical reaction on Chrysler's part.
It's because you're a coward.
I don't think that me and Daniel saw it as violent or even that aggressive. Chrysler just couldn't handle it. It was too much emotion.
Hurry!
Stevie manages to lure the killer.
This is no life for a girl like you.
But the stakeout goes horribly wrong.
I can take you away to a castle.
They all have a very particular role in this episode, and they all fail.
It's him.
Stop him!
The killer is still one step ahead of them, and the effect of that failure is profound.
Cyrus!
And it knocks them on into another wonderful chapter of The Alienist.
We serve the rich, and in return, they raise us above the primordial filth.
We really get to see that it's not just a pressure to catch a killer. There's political pressure as well. In the extreme, the power players are the wealthy, especially J.P. Morgan.
So long as they have money, we do their bidding. God help us if we don't keep our end of the bargain.
I wonder why you would want to stop us in our quest to find the perpetrator of these terrible murders.
Because it's a matter for the police.
The police in those days really didn't believe in sciences like psychology when all these things just began. They were very reluctant. They were very religious, superstitious, afraid.
You have no soul!
All all of these new scientific methods were just discredited. That's a big part of the story, is how can you learn new things when so many people are just comfortable with the way that things are.
The Isaacsons, they're young, they're progressive. Not many other people within the police force buy into what they believe in.
Could the killer have left prints on his body or clothing?
With the amount of blood he shed, it's highly likely.
Fingerprint science was something new, and it's so endearing to see it in the show. If it's not a presumption, I'd very much like if you would join me for dinner.
We also get to understand in this episode that Chrysler's falling in love with Mary.
When we see him with Mary, he is like a teenager. All his professional attitude and his intellectual power is gone.
The relationship is something so beautiful, and there's such a purity to it, as well as a very sweet awkwardness. Working with such an amazing actor as Daniel, it just came to life, and it was a beautiful, tender moment where you see how much he really, really cares for her.
Doctor, your beliefs are interesting.
Men such as J.P. Morgan are only capable of doing what they perceive to be in their best interest.
J.P. Morgan knows Van Bergen is not the killer. He's forced to take a closer look at these boy murders and how it affects the high society in New York at that point.
Civil unrest caused by these murders troubles me a great deal indeed. Possibly even more than the murders themselves.
That fat son of a bitch is going to let that alienist continue with his investigation.
Our team are facing so many hurdles, and they might not overcome them.
You are fighting a monster, one that reaches from Millionaire's Mile all the way down to Mulberry Street. And if you're not careful, it will devour you long before you find your child killer.
To find the clues they're looking for, our team have to leave New York, and they're all put in danger. In taking our characters outside New York, it brings a fresh world to tell the story in. Sarah heads out to follow her own clues.
There may be some connection between our killer and the West.
And doing so, she puts herself in a really vulnerable position.
You knew them.
The whole town knew them.
The Isaacsons live in danger because of their own view of the world and how to get it.
He was stabbing the body with a knife over and over. He was naked. Naked? From head to foot. Anybody here?
Good morning, Mr. Jury.
And Moore and Chrysler meet a man who ends up being the brother of the killer.
I'd rip that man's throat up myself. I'd ever gotten the chance. I trusted him to look after my brother. Betrayed that trust.
Do you remember his name?
Beecham. George Beecham.
They're really starting to create the imaginary man that Chrysler had always wanted to. And in doing so, Chrysler and Moore are put under very real threat.
I'm not going to let him throw 30 bloody years of police work out the window.
I'll let the Swede know of your concerns.
Detailed work went into planning the staging of the carriage being shot and turning over in a ditch. There's a point in the sequence where the carriage, as it flips, becomes a VFX carriage. Our production team have worked to enable the audience to get lost in a very visceral attack on Chrysler and Moore. Everybody on the team had shot a car chase. I don't think many members of the team had actually shot a carriage chase. But fundamentally, they're the same discipline. One of the great things about this series is it puts our characters in situations where they've not been in before. We learn that Moore is heroic. Who knew?
I need to give someone a message. You'll have to deliver that message yourself.
And we realize that Chrysler is in love with Mary. And there's almost like a childlike joy in that.
Mary, there's certain things a man cannot control.
I told you. Love resides in the heart.
But this episode ends with Mary's death.
Is the good doctor home?
The whole series, you see Mary as this caretaker, and for the first time, you see this side of Mary that's very protective of her family. She is willing to fight to the death to protect Chrysler, to protect her home.
It's brutal and it's callous, and Chrysler doesn't know that she's dead. Chrysler is made inert because of his grief for the loss of Mary. Chrysler, so late in life, found love, and that's been taken away from him. He is so consumed with grief, it means our team have to stand on their own. We get to see Sarah say that they have to continue.
Dr. Chrysler's withdrawn because he's been hurt. But we have a duty to go on.
She does it with such conviction and such brilliance that the team follow her.
Welcome to our new headquarters.
It shows that they have such huge respect for her.
The Feast of St. Barnabas is only 8 days away, and we know he won't stop killing.
At the beginning of the show, Sarah's role in the investigation is the go-between for Chrysler and Roosevelt and the police department, helping out in logistical ways.
I've come to give you the file Dr. Chrysler asked for.
And then you see her become a detective.
Look at the bottom of the page.
And realize things that even Chrysler didn't realize.
We have a name. All we have to do is find him.
One of the most emotional scenes in the series is Chrysler feeling his grief with such open emotion.
Barry is a very important character for Chrysler because he's in love with her. And obviously, when she's killed, it's devastating because he feels responsible.
The pivotal scene in this episode is where we get to see Sarah and the team find out where the killer lived, which then leads them on to find out where he lives now.
3-story house, 2nd floor.
They are moments away from coming face to face with the man they've spent months hunting, and Sarah leads them brilliantly to do that, while Chrysler remains inert and helpless in his own grief. This episode gives us the most amount of tangible evidence that leads to the killer. How is it resolved? Find out in the final episode.
What made you kill them? Tell me why, Dave.
In the final episode, we really learn about the effect that the whole case has had on each member of our team. They have to face their own demons before they face our demon, the killer. Moore finally realizes that it's the loss of his brother that's motivated him to help find this child. The empathetic relationship that he has with Joseph spurs him on.
Joseph!
His behavior saves this boy.
He's a better person. John was wandering the wilderness for quite a long time, and I think now he's on the right track.
Sarah's dogged pursuit and her passion to be effective is proved so wonderfully correct.
We know his name. We're closer.
This show is showing my character advancing herself and doing things that haven't been done before, which is really important for Sarah.
She is set up to be the leader, without apology, of the stories to come.
Turn me down, by all means, but don't pretend I have no feelings for you.
Also, John declares his love for Sarah, and she almost does for him too without exactly saying it, because she knows they have more to accomplish before possibly being together.
Ready.
The Isaacsons have proven that forensic science is key to finding killers. Everything they've stood for, what they've been laughed at for being progressive, is valuable and it's real, which empowers them so much. It really is the beginning of forensic science, pathology, and psychological profiling.
Chrysler's emotional journey gets him to the point of allowing himself to think outside his theories in a classroom and books and really feel and empathize with what the killer might have gone through to get him to where he is.
I could take your eyes, but I want you to see.
The discovery of Beecham allows Chrysler to ask what made you do what you did.
I know who you are. Killing him won't rid you of her. Where do you think you're going? No!
Chrysler always imagined that by analyzing the murderer, he would understand him better, so that would help to stop similar cases in the future. But unfortunately, he's not given enough time with the killer before the killer dies. He's devastated because there's not a groundbreaking knowledge about serial killers that would fulfill him as a scientist.
There will be others, I have no doubt. And from them, we might one day learn what compels a man to do evil.
And to do good.
Beecham is just one story, and our gang are only at the beginning of putting together investigatory tools that allow them to catch other killers.
A toast to friendship.
This first season brings all these characters with all their special gifts together.
I have a plan.
It creates the team of unlikely heroes that overcome evil, overcome themselves, and understand that they need each other. Leaving the first season with that big question: why do we kill? Why are we evil? Which is a good way into a second season where we might find these answers.